Hey, welcome to the Rain and Morale podcast. So do you ever feel like screaming out in the office, on Zoom or outside the school gates? For the love of God, come on, really? Then if this is you and you're looking for an honest, fun and frank podcast on life and business, then sit back and listen to me, Rain and Morale. I'll be bringing great people on the show to talk, share and debate their life experiences and business challenges, keeping the show unpolished, but in a fun and unique British style, with sarcasm, tenacity, maybe a few swear words or tears. This podcast keeps it real, honest, raw, and removes the bullshit in the only way I know how, through authenticity and getting shit done. Think of it less like the Housewives of New York or Towie with the lipo and drama, and more like the house lives of the real world. I hope you'll take something away to be better informed, laugh, smile, or maybe even finally getting the confidence to shout, come on really. So enjoy. Hi Michael, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hi Rona, I am fine, thank you. I'm really excited to be on your podcast.
Oh, don't get too excited. You might hate me in 40 minutes.
No, I don't think so.
So for the listeners, I'm really pleased to introduce Michael Rada, and we met very recently actually, and I was really intrigued about Michael's background from where he came, which was as a steel factory worker actually back in 1990, but in 2013 Michael invented the industrial upcycling, and that's developed into what's now become Industry 5.0, which was launched on December the 1st, 2015, and it's been published article named Industry 5.0 from virtual to physical. Now, the great news about this framework and concept is that it has become part of the European Sustainable Development Framework, and was introduced by the European Commission, kind of underpinning the United Nations and on October the 19th, 2021. And pleased to say that in 2020, Industry 5.0 was named one of the top 10 industrial trends of the decade. So welcome, Michael. Thank you very much for being on the show. Listen, for anybody who's going, what the hell is Industry 5.0? Please tell us more about it.
Okay, so many people are confused because they have heard probably about Industry 4.0, which, if we make it very simple, means everything will be done by robots and the people will enjoy the free time. Unfortunately, this does not work because the man needs some meaning of his life or of her life, and generally we cannot live meaningless life. This was said by Carl Gustav Jung in 1959, and I recognized this issue back in 2010 generally, plus one more. I recognized after being for 23 years in industries that there is nobody in the world, really nobody, who even tried to prevent waste happen on industrial scale. And that was alarming for me, because I worked at the time for a second largest Japanese corporation and make a project which really eliminate waste in a returnable packaging segment. But then I realized still there is a huge amount of single-use packaging, and it was something like the enlightening. So I spent my time, because when I find out that there is something which is not existing, is the starting point for me. So I left the corporation, I have to name it. So I name it Industrial Upcycling, because upcycling was existing, industry was existing, but they did not get together. So I put them together. I started to realize first projects, and all of them successful, because, it's quite easy if you can choose whether you will generate waste or you will generate profit. As the company owner or founder or whoever, you will choose the profit instead. And this is what we deliver. So the difference between Industry 4.0, which is named Fourth Industrial Revolution, and Industry 5.0 is that Industry 5.0 is not a revolution anymore. It is evolution. And why I choose that? I was born in Czechoslovak Socialist Republic in 1971. I lived for 18 years of my life in a communist country. And I know what does it mean not to have freedom. And I know what it means, because we spend a lot of time in the school teaching that, what means a revolution, because a revolution means killing, disturbing, generally scarcity of many for profit of few. And this is what I decided not to do. The second reason why not revolution, if you analyze the Industrial Revolution from 1 to 4, you will find out that every next one is generally at least half the time long or even shorter. Industry 4.0 was introduced unofficially in Germany in 2011, and it took 2 years to be official. So it was invented on the order of German government. But Industry 5.0 principles has been already implemented from 2013. So we can say to the launch, there has been only 2 years between Industry 4.0 living officially and Industry 5.0 being introduced. So the time is very short, and we see it around us, how quick the changes are, faster and faster and faster. And this is why. So Industry 4.0 is the first industrial evolution ever led by man, by human. And what is even more important, that it concentrates on the systematic waste prevention principles, but not only in the physical waste, but there are 5 categories. Physical waste, this is the trash. Social waste, which are people and even animals which do not live with a purpose or with meaningful life, we can say. Then is urban waste, empty buildings, factories, flats, and at the same time, people who has no roof above their heads. Process waste, which is everywhere, in a bank, in a school, in a steel factory, everywhere is process waste. And the last one, which we added in September 2022, so 1 month ago, is the wasting of time. Which is very special, because, time is the most valuable assets every one of us have. But at the same time, is the most wasted one. And you have to stop it, because not a single second wasted can be recovered. No matter how much money you have, how rich you are, not a single second will get back to you. And this is what we have to learn. So this is the difference between 4 and 5. And you explained that I started as a steel factory worker. I'm not academician, so I deliver palpable results. I have to touch the results. And this is why my language is very simple, but understandable to all. And this is important for me.
Yes, I know you've done lots of talks at kind of schools and universities and events. Can you kind of share with us some really impactful stats about some of the global waste issues across those 5 areas that you can share with us, that kind of bring credence to the disastrous kind of state of waste, but also then later on we'll move on to some of the solutions?
I will start with the food waste, because this is omnipresent. Everybody, we can hear about it. And unfortunately, there is a lot of wrong informations being published. You will hear on many stages that the global food waste concerns 25% of the global food. It's not true. The reality is 75% of all food and crop is being wasted. So generally, 3/4 of all what we plant is wasted before it reaches the second stage of production. And this is because there are many aspects, but generally, many farmers are not evaluated for how many crop they deliver, but how many crop they plant. And there is a big difference. So there is this funding, incentives, and so on. This is damaging the market generally. And why this happening? And it is the same in all the industries. Generally, and I don't know exactly when, but probably it was after the Second World War, but not sure exactly, there start very special thing. We start to produce more, called because we would like to cover market demand, but market demand is a virtual number. It has nothing to do with reality. So we started to produce more, but we do not go with the consumption so high. So the scissors start to open generally, and currently there are companies who produce new products and they know already that 80% will be wasted. So generally, it's production of waste. Another example, which is being very dangerous and really not spoken so frequently, is digital waste. Digital waste is something which we have in our mobile phones, we have it in our computers, we have it everywhere. I'm not speaking about the e-waste itself, but really about the data and digital.
Right.
For one of the keynotes, I prepare and make discussions with the owners of data centers. And it was quite interesting to find out how much data stored there will be never used again. What do you think is the share?
Oh,
it's not easy question.
I would take a guess at, when I just think about my own life and the amount of things that I have and things that I store, do I ever look at them again? It's probably near that 70% mark again.
You are right. Generally, 85 to 92% of data will never be used again, which means the data centers, which are built with millions of pounds, fueled with a lot of energy, cooled, and so on. So generally generated big issue are just big data landfills.
Yeah.
Nothing more. The next example, which may be surprising for many, is generally above our heads. And this is the landfill which we have created on the orbit. You know yourself that we are not flying for such a long time. Few decades we are flying in the space.
Yeah.
Currently in the space, and this is not my number, these numbers came from NASA, US Space Agency.
Yeah.
On the orbit, there is 170 million pieces of space debris smaller than 10 centimeters, 750,000 of 10 to 30 centimeters, and 80,000 above 30 centimeters. This is a global landfill on our orbit. You know, we can call it e-waste. And this is even worse because it endangers our space travel already. So there are first incentives or initiatives generally who say we will take it down. Nobody succeeded yet, not a single one. But there is a discussion that we will mine asteroids and we will mine moon. So it's a very dangerous situation because we already created a landfill, and without cleaning it, we would like to create the next one. And I can go industry by industry, and the examples are generally the same. The difference between me and the others, the academicians and the others, I am in the factories. Of course, I was not in space, but I have to trust this data. But I was standing in a factory, generally one of the largest fruits and vegetables distributor in my country. He has 5 distribution centers. And he produced every single month 400 metric tons. Metric tons of food waste. And I was standing there when a truck full of radish refuse by one big chain store came, and the buyer refused to buy the radish or accept it because the leaves has not been green enough. Leaves which we do not eat. I was standing there and crying because the only process which happened, they take every single wooden crate and throw it in a garbage bin. Every single one, without thinking. They don't need the radish, they need the crates.
Yeah.
So to find a solution, I asked them to take one crate with me. Usually you do not buy full crate of radish. So I took it with me. And what was interesting, I make smoothie. I don't know whether you ever drink smoothie only from radish and a little bit of olive oil. The color is unbelievably beautiful. It's wonderful. I cannot describe. And the taste.
So actually, sorry, just to interject there. So actually, they were putting more value on the crate than they were than the whole entire life and supply chain of those radishes.
Exactly. And this is common. So this is common thing. It's not only radish, to be honest. I have seen cars. There exists, even in UK, exists a graveyard of new cars, not old cars. The cars are being produced just to present numbers of production of produced cars to the investors. And these
Really?
new cars, yes, and they are everywhere, even in my country, in the US. But this happened to planes. This happened to rockets. So you can speak about billion. Ocean cruise ship was currently in Germany generally almost finished, but the buyer cannot buy anymore. And instead of offering it to use it, because you can imagine the cruise ship is a city, it's a school, university, it has so many possible usages. And instead of using it, they would like to scrap it. So this is how we behave. And this is why Industry 5.0 is here. This is why I do my work for 9 years. And this is why we deliver the changes which really works. And everybody can try.
So obviously, in terms of, if we just take the food waste example, obviously there's many debates about how much more land we need to feed our growing population to 10 million. And it's such a big misconception, because 2/3 of the crops that we grow are to feed the cows and the animals, not the actual people. So can you kind of, what can we do about it? What can businesses or industries do to impact? Can you like talk about maybe some of the examples of where you've reduced that food waste and what you did?
So generally, let's come back to the radish. What we did, I tested what can be done. Okay, I tested in my kitchen, and so what can be done. And 1 year later, from 400 tons, they are at 40 tons. But this 400, you have to multiply it by 5 warehouses. So we are speaking about 2 million tons generally, 2,000 tons generally. And it can be done by the right processing, by understanding that it's not waste what we are wasting. And there is a very special thing. I will show you the example. We have the camera, so the people will see.
Yeah.
Because very few people do understand what is waste, in fact. Usually I use my business card. Okay, so let's imagine we are in the same room. I am handing you my business card. You take it over. Everything is fine. Right now, erase this memory and we will show it again. So here is the business card. We are meeting and somebody places in between us completely new stainless steel garbage bin. I come to you, I fall down and the garbage and the business card fall in the garbage bin. I am stupid, I do not have second one, but for whatever reason you would like to have it. So we look inside, we see it's nothing there except of the business card. You say, okay, I will take it. So I take it out, I check it whether it's really clean. It is. I hand it over to you, and if you take it from me at this moment, you take with it the penalty or the right for penalty of 200,000 euro. It will be the most expensive business card in your life. Do you know why? Because this business card become waste because of the definition of waste. There are several definitions, and one sounds foreign. One sounds this way. Waste is something what you place on a location dedicated to waste storage.
Right.
Which means if it falls down in a garbage bin, it becomes waste. And just now, the very interesting part, this law is written by waste industry, which generally is not here to clean up the world, is here to manage the waste. And this is a very big difference. So if you imagine then this is the edge of the garbage bin, I will show you something very interesting. Here is a business card. Here is a waste. You see, nothing happened with the item, but according to the law, it changed its definition. Here is a product which has a value, many value. Here is a cost because you have to pay for waste management and other. And this is what happened. How the companies do prevent waste happen after understanding this. Yeah. Just stretch your hand and cut the process between product become waste.
Yeah.
And generally, it's applicable to almost all types of waste. Of course, there are some nuclear waste dangerous waste. Not all the time you can manage this waste, but generally 98% of all waste can be managed or prevented this way. And this is how the companies have to start. They have to recognize, and this is the methodology called 6R, which we introduced. Firstly, you have to recognize that something must not become waste. And trust me, that's not easy task, because if you put it in a garbage bin before, it's automatically in your brain as a waste. So it's not easy. Like this single-use plastic bottle, for example. It's called single-use. So what you do after drinking, usually you throw it away.
Yeah.
That's not right. So drink it empty, leave it on your table. This is recognizing. Second step, even harder. Reconsider what to do with it. Mm-hmm. What can be done with an empty single-use plastic bottle? What will you do with it?
Well, if you're asking me, I wouldn't have single-use plastic bottle, but that's because I'm in the space. I understand it. But worst case, my kids who do have a plastic bottle, they reuse the same one every single day in their lunch boxes. But we have multifunctional drinks cups that.
But you exactly name it. You simply reuse it. Why shouldn't I refill it when there is no hole inside? So this is the reconsider part. And the third one is the which I love most. Realize the step. Just do it. So refill the bottle.
Yeah.
It must not be water for you. It can be for your animals. It can be for your plants and so on. I make the test. I have here bottles which I am refilling for the plants for 6 years. Mm-hmm. The plants do not complain. They grow well. And, the bottles are well. They are a little bit dirty, of course, from the water inside and so on, but that's all. So if you do this, you don't need reduce, reuse, recycle anymore. And if so, in a very different application than it was originally introduced. Because general recycling is a lie. It's a right methodology, nothing against, but in the wrong hands. The hands of waste industry are the wrong hands, because they don't try to have a less waste, but more waste. And this is what they do. In UK, as if I'm not wrong, since the introduction of recycling, the household waste increased by 80% in 30 years.
Because it goes back to that point where we just think, well, we've consumed it, I'll bin it, it's somebody else's problem. And inevitably we end up not recycling, we're burning products in different countries, shipping it over to Turkey and Indonesia. So interestingly, Indonesia recently has said by 2025, we're accepting no waste. And I'm like, good on you. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not recognizing the impact of that. And even when it gets to in your hands, you've no idea of the waste that's happened in the production of that product to get to you. And then you're then just carrying on the chain.
And that's exactly the point. So generally, one of the solutions which we are implementing in Industry 5.0, we break the silos. The responsibility, it's yours, no. It's general manager, it's no. It's automotive, it's no. It must be one. It must be, there is one interesting topic. Many people ask me, who is the role model of Industry 5.0? Do you know who it is?
No.
Do you know who is the role model, or what is the role model? It's nature.
Oh.
Because nature does not waste. So simple it is. And have you ever seen a tree holding a business plan to grow up on the right day? I have not. And still, it is here for few billions or whatever years. and still is growing.
Yeah.
Still, whether it's is here. And this is what must become the standard of industries. But to do that, not to waste, the silos are very, very significant part. Because as you name it exactly right, it's not my responsibility, it's someone else's responsibility. I don't care who, he don't care. If you look, we are speaking strike.
Hold on, sorry, Michael. We might just have to go back a few seconds there because I think there's a bit of connectivity issue. You just sort of said that I was right in terms of it's not my fault. Or it's not my problem.
So should I don't know where to start. I spoke about Greta, or should I go a little bit more?
Just a little bit further back.
So generally I will speak. Okay, let me remember. It's so much things that I spoke already. I was speaking that we have to generally break the silos, the issue of
responsibilities, yeah.
Or let's say the lack of responsibility. And to do so, not to ask first other change. And if you at Fridays for Future, if you look at the signs, there is written following in a and so on, do something that we have better future. I haven't seen a single sign who asks what I should do to have a better future. And this is the big issue, because strike for strike generates only strike, but not change.
Absolutely.
And hands which hold, they just hold the banner. So there are many aspects, and everybody. What is great about Industry 5.0 is one thing. Because you don't need money to implement. You don't need to waste time, because we are working with on the ground mines. The bottle will become part of the on the ground mine. 2018, I think, I'm not sure. In Brazil, they make so-called plastic bricks. They put piece of plastics inside the bottle, really with a pressure, and it's a brick to build fences, even something.
Oh, Michael,
and it's really stable. And stick in the on the roads generally. Crash plastic, mix it with the rest, and put it on the road. In UK, the first company who did this in 2019 and was even with all the certificates needed for UK market and for the European market. But the share of the plastic was very, very low, unfortunately. It's called bitumen generally. So they try to exchange part of the bitumen with the plastics.
Yeah.
And I hope the company is still existing. I'm not sure. I didn't check.
No, I think, listen, just apologies to the listeners. We've just had a bit of in and out, but we are catching what you're saying. So one of the other things I wanted to chat to you about is obviously recognising waste as a commercial opportunity. So what can be done with the waste, albeit that we want to eliminate waste? There are opportunities in waste for other industries and other products and services.
First of all, it's very important to understand that not a single company or a man who see treasure in waste will try to prevent it happen. Because you see treasure for you. Yeah. You see money for you in a waste. And generally, there is the waste industry work a lot of with psychology. And one of the topics which you can try in a school, in a group, on a conference, ask the people sitting there how many of them recycle. Generally, in Europe, 80 to 90%, even 95, goes up. At this moment, you can say, sorry, you are lying, because it's not true. What they do, they sort the waste in the right bin.
Yes.
But sorting is not recycling. Sorting is just one step in a very long journey, which is called recycling. So you see the plastic in a yellow bin, I recycle, but it's not true. So the first, really, don't try to sell your waste better. Try to prevent it. Prevention, it's a very different step, as I show with the business card, and it works well. How to do that? For example, if we speak about wooden pallets, in almost every factory, they use packaging wooden pallets. Usually, the single-use ones are being thrown in a garbage bin or garbage container. It's not a bin, it's a container. It must be big. Don't do it. Stack it as a normal pallet and offer it, because you can do it. Because if you stack it, that's not a waste. It's still a product. It maybe it's not returnable, okay, but it can be reusable, which is a different category. And instead of paying for wasting those and landfilling, which is common thing, you will get money. Even zero will be black number for you, but you can get above zero and you will have profit center where a cost center was before. And that's the way which everybody can try. The only difference is that you work with pallet, he works with crates, this work with whatever steel, meat, everything has its buyer as when it is not waste. If it's waste, then the buyer is only one, waste industry. But if it's before it becomes waste, there are many buyers and there are no limits, very few limits. We have, for this to recognize and implement in factories, we have introduced waste prevention legislation. This is one piece of paper here behind me, which I will share with you. And I would like to ask you to share with the audience.
Absolutely.
And generally, I spent 8 years to write this one page, but I am a heavy writer. I publish in the meantime 3,000 articles, but this one page need in this brain 8 years to be created, because it must be so efficient and so applicable to any industry, any process, and any type of waste of this 5. And I am happy that it works. We have translation in, I think, 60 languages at the moment. Some countries already contributed to integrate it in a legal framework, not waste framework, legal framework, because it's touching not only the physical waste. And the companies can do exactly the same. And you will see, and they will see, immediate impact. Immediately. And that's the reason. And then if they would like to go deeper, just contact one of the Industry 5.0 ambassadors. There is one in UK, there is one in generally. The network is currently in 111 countries, which I'm managing. So
amazing.
You can support. And the result is great because you come next day and there is less waste. And I guess it's the same.
Yeah, I guess like you said, it's prevention. Prevention is always going to be better than cure. So, be interesting to hear from you. What sort of industries, if we get this right, what sort of industries would disappear, and opportunity industries would appear if we get this right?
I will not say completely disappear, but the waste industry will lose its function by 80 to 90%. At the moment, it is the third most profitable industry in the world. So you can imagine how hard it will be for them. The other, which will be generally created, are industries or jobs which has been here before. Our forefathers did it. Right. They did it without the technologies. We have the technologies. So it will be more creative jobs in a way that the worker will have to say, and the robot will help him in a way. What will be created will be jobs for senior people. You know, I am in 2 months 51. For 5 or 6 years, nobody will employ me because I'm too old in my country. I am not only too old, I am overqualified. It's my second indication, overqualified, because I spend most of my life in a management and doing a lot of really special things. But, you know, nobody of us will be younger. Everyone will be older. And what we do, what the society does, it cut and let the senior people become generally social waste. As a burden to the society, we have to take care, we have to pay pensions, but that's not the right thing. The people do not look so much for a pension, but they look for a meaningful life. They look for the possibility to help the younger one, to help the society, not with their muscles anymore, but with their experience. And that's not AI. AI does not have the experience, but we have the experience. So there will be several industries which will aim these. What will be reduced, for example, will be the e-trade in a way how it is generated now, that millions of pieces will be sold by Amazon. No. Generally, a lot of things will be made on demand. You will not have your coat next day. No, you will have to wait 3 days. But you will learn how to wait 3 days. And you will learn again, and you remember that time. When you go shopping, and you don't need to go shopping the next day because you forgot something, but you shop for a week or so.
Yeah.
You can plan. But currently, all these e-trades, next days, next hour deliveries are erasing step by step our possibilities to plan. And in the food waste, what is quite interesting, to come back to that, I make workshops for the second largest hotel chain in the world about food waste. And what is interesting, that the biggest share of the waste is in planning, wrong planning. It's not in the processing, it's not in the kitchen, it's not even on the plate. It's right. And there already now exist very advanced tools called advanced planning systems, like the British Jaguar apps, for example, which can predict what your small store next door to you how many bread it sells next day, and the accuracy is 98%, because they use and process big amount of data which are already corrected during the years. Yeah, nobody use them. This is the digital waste. We collect a lot of data and we never use them simply. We don't.
I guess with the digital waste, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because without the plethora of data, we can't create that amazing tech to allow solutions for reduction of waste and, proving authenticity and, driving accountability. So it's a waste that I guess I struggle in my head. Well, do we then say, once we've got the intelligence from it, we remove it?
No, generally it's right now a slight misunderstanding. You know, everybody or many of us has a smartphone. I realized just few days before my 48th birthday that I'm addicted to my smartphone, because there was a new update which counts how many times I unlock. I was unlocking 357 times a day. Ooh. And when I found this, I said to me, Michael, you are addicted. You have to do something with it. And I did something what the young people can hardly do. I go to my cupboard and I took out this lady. This is my old Nokia 6310i. And what is interesting about this mobile, It is the only mobile phone in a mobile phone history, in the entire history, who was top business phone in the world for 3 years in line. Not a single one repeated. So I said, okay, if I will be able to turn it on, I will use for 3 months only this phone. You know what? It was 10 years in a box. I turn it on, 80% of battery. So I use it for 3 months.
I used to have one of those.
And I use it for 3 months. And generally, it needs only 2 months to teach me what was wrong and what is the addiction, what is made from. And I will tell you, the addiction on a smartphone or on a smart device, especially, let's say, smartphone, is in notification. So something which is being sold to you as something for your good is against you, because it's generally the application can notify you 3 ways: color, tone, and vibration. So all the time you take it to look what's happening. The solution, very simple. Turn all notification off except of call and SMS message. You will see how it will change your world. What is very difficult, you have to do one by one. There is no tool in Android, no tool in Apple, which you will say, turn all notification off. They know.
If there's anybody out there listening that actually does know that there is that function that exists, please get in touch. But yes, I in fact, mine's in my, you can't see, but if I kind of do that, but mine's in a drawer, you know, because you have to. And even at best, when you think I'm, you know, I don't want notifications on, it's a bit like spam email. There's always some that get through or you forget. But yeah, I guess going back to kind of the data, it is invaluable for us to drive knowledge and greater efficiencies and things like that. But there is a real challenge, isn't there? I've got 2 small children, iPad and phone, it's like glued.
I know it. And generally, it's important to teach even the children that generally it should be the kid who is the boss, not the device. And this is what they do understand. They do understand it, because this is the key. And this is the answer to your question. We have data. We have it. But don't be servants of the technology. We are the people who develop it, and we should be the masters of the time and of the technology. So smartphone is here. It's great. It has camera. It has much more. In the Nokia fit only 99 contacts. I have 3,600 in here. Other people may think I'm not on social media. It's not true. I'm very active on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, on many of those. But I am the creator of the contact. I am the creator of the content. I am not just a consumer. And at the moment when I see I'm just scrolling, I switch away from that, because this is what we have to realize. And it's me who say when I go to sleep, not my smartwatch, because I do understand my body better than a smartwatch. And I don't wear any watch anymore for 6 or 7 years. So I learned with this all, I have learned time is my friend. It's not the enemy. I don't use watches. I don't use alarm clocks. I don't use anything like that. I simply feel it. And this is what you get when you stop being managed by your smartwatch or smart whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I think, you know, in reality, that would be a podcast in its own right in terms of that topic. But listen, thank you so much for coming on today. I think waste in its entirety across physical, social, urban, time and process creates a huge opportunity for us across all industries and all businesses to make a fundamental shift in our mind about the way we see it, the way we define it, and the way we prevent it, and the amazing solutions and opportunities it can create by dealing with waste in a positive manner. So listen, thank you so much for, I guess, creating the concept all those years ago, and I'll share the details, obviously, when we launched the podcast. So thank you so much for coming on today, Michael. I've really enjoyed it.
I would like to thank you, and let me say a greeting to your listeners. And so please have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe and free, because these three together help you to live meaningful life. Thanks a lot.
Amazing way to end, Michael. Thank you.
So that's it. You've made it. The show's over. Thank you for being with us. I hope you've been able to take something away, maybe solve a problem, or just know you're not alone. Here's hoping it made you smile with a few laughs along the way. Please feel free to find me on all social media channels, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just search the Rada Morale Podcast. Have an awesome day and see you next time.